is up, my crafty friends? My name is Carrie and welcome back to my channel. If you're a returning subscriber, you know that it's Friday and that means it's time for Fab Collab Friday, which is my favorite day of the week because I come together with my favorite girls on YouTube and we all bring you a different take on one theme. Now the theme for this week is Easter tablescapes. Now whether it's your dining room table, your living room table, or just an Easter centerpiece, we're all going to give you our takes on this theme. I did decide to do my dining room table this week, and y'all, I'm so in love with how it turned out. Normally for Easter, I go all out with the bunnies and the Easter eggs, but this year I decided to keep it simple and just embody the true meaning of Easter. So I really hope you enjoy this tablescape. If you do, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, hit that subscribe button down below so you don't miss anything that I've got coming your way. And you're going to get a notification every time I upload a new video. So y'all, let's get started on this tablescape. Okay, y'all, before we get started, I'm going to run down over the supplies we're going to need for this project, but I'll also put a supply list down below in the description box. So in case you missed something in my description here, be sure to check the box down below. Now, everything did come from the Dollar Tree with the exception of the sticks that I got in my backyard. So we're going to need several things from the candle section at Dollar Tree. We're going to need one of these, sort of like a tulip kind of shaped vase. It's kind of fluted on one end. We're also going to need one of the tallest of the little candlesticks. Now these come in a set of 3 and they look like this. We're going to be using 2 of these today. And I also picked up these and they were also in the candle section. I'm not sure if they were just in the wrong section, but I happened to find these in the candle section. And there's several different ones. So it doesn't really matter because this is going to be covered up. So just find some that you like. Now, if for some reason your Dollar Tree does not have these, you could also pick up some of these little clear plastic plates from the party section. They are quite a bit bigger, but this is better than nothing. Okay, so that, oops. And one of these candles. It doesn't matter what smell. We're honestly just going to be using the top part. So all of this came from the candle section. Now in the glassware section, I picked up one of these little stemless wine glasses. Also picked up 2 of these jars, but I wanted to show you we're only going to be using the tops to these jars today. And the bottoms, I actually am rooting some little bulbs that I overwintered from last year. These are hyacinth bulbs. Didn't know if I could even do that in Florida, but I thought, well, what the heck, I'll give it a shot. And y'all look, they're just coming along so pretty. And I just used one of those little tulip cups and sat it down inside there. So this is not part of today's project, but I just wanted you to see that even though I'm just using the top, I did use the bottom for another project. So I'm just going to move these out of the way. We're also going to need a ramekin dish. These come in a set of 3, but we're only going to be using one of these today. Now, I'm also going to be using one of the Yankee candle jar tops. If for some reason you don't have a Yankee candle jar top, then you can just use anything you have laying around your house, or you can use nothing at all, and you'll see why in just a minute whenever we get to that point. So now for these jars, we are going to need 2 of these. It doesn't matter what pattern, but I've already done one off of camera, so I'll do the other one on camera so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So we're going to have 2 of these candle tops, one of these, and then a Yankee candle top or any other little glass top you can find. Check your thrift stores or even ask your neighbors, hey, do you have an old candle top that you're not using? Because I can surely use it. So we do want to go ahead and take off these little plastic pieces. From our candles, and they just, from our tops, and they just pop right off. Okay, so I've gotten all of our little plastic pieces off of our candle jar tops, and I'm just going to set these to the side. So the next thing you want to do is to take all of your labels off. I'm just going to use my 91% alcohol and just make sure that all of that sticky residue is off. And this does a great job of taking it all the way off. This will also make sure that your glasses are nice and clean when we start gluing. Okay, now that all of our glass is clean with our alcohol, we can start putting everything together. Let's go ahead and put the first one together. And we're going to use one of our little, I think this is supposed to be like a ring tray, trinket tray. That's what they call these. So we're going to take one of our little trinket trays. We're also going to take the cute little kind of tulip shaped glass. Y'all, we're going to make some cloches with this. I'm going to be using my Sure Bonder glue gun today with my Tough Sticks because the Tough Sticks are made to bond glass. I want this bond to be sort of a temporary but more permanent hold than just regular hot glue. If you know for sure that you want this to be a permanent hold that you're not going to want to take apart eventually, then you might want to go ahead and double glue this with your Sure Bonder or your hot glue and also some E6000. But because I'm probably going to be taking this apart at some point and doing something else with it, I'm just going to use my Sure Bonder today. So we want to take our little piece from our little jar here. This is the top to it. And you just want to use your same alcohol and just sort of give that a nice swipe. You know, this is so easy. Like I said, if you are going to want this more permanent, go ahead and add some E6000 to this and you'll have a more permanent hold. I'm just going to find the center and just plop that down. Okay, this cloche is halfway done. So now we want to take our little candle holder that's also the bell shape. We're going to flip it upside down. A little hot glue on here. Flip this over. Center it up. Boom. Your little cloche is done. Now, if you wanted to, I like the way the white just kind of stands out, especially when you see what I'm going to do with this. But if you wanted a little bit more white, you could always paint your top white or also your base here. But I honestly don't mind this. I really love the way this looks. Okay, so now let's move on to our second cloche. And we're basically going to do the same thing. Only we're going to use the top from our little candle here and our wine glass. Clean our glass really good. And hot glue our top on. Okay. This one is going to sit down in here just like this. But for this one, I want this one to be elevated because I've got two that are this size and then I want one that's a little bit taller. So instead of gluing it onto my third little candle holder here, I'm going to put it on my tall one. Now, if you want yours to be all the same size, then by all means, just do them all the same. Okay, and there is our second cloche. Now, the reason that I'm using the hot glue, like I said before, is I eventually may want to change this up. I've even thought instead of making this a cloche, I can flip these upside down and I can use this as a candy dish and put my top on here, and then my little top here will glue onto this. So I just want to keep my options open because I don't want this to be a permanent thing. Isn't that pretty? Okay, so now we're ready for our third cloche. For this one, we're going to use one of our little ramekin dishes here. Now, this ramekin dish, the bottom is recessed slightly, so it may take a little bit more glue to make it bond. We're going to just use one of our candle trays, candle plates, I guess this is called. And that's what this one's going to sit on. We're going to flip our little candy dish upside down, and then we're going to glue our Yankee candle top straight onto that. Let me make sure this is clean. Okay, so this is pretty much the whole project, but I'm about to take it a step further to make this the centerpiece for my Easter tablescape. So give me just a second. I'm going to let all of my hot glue cool down, and I'll be back to show you what we're going to do. Okay, now this is the look that we're going to go for. So I'm going to do 3 of the crosses, and then I'm also going to make this part the tomb. We're going to do this one the last. I'm just going to move this out of the way. And we're just going to focus on our crosses for now. Let me move this up a little bit closer so you can see what we're doing. So for this, pretty much, we're just going to use some sticks that we found in the yard. And I've gone ahead and cut my pieces. Now, for my tallest one, my pieces are going to be slightly larger than the ones that I'm using for my smaller ones, but only because I have more space to fill. So this stick is roughly 3.5, and this one is roughly 2.25. We're just going to hot glue our sticks together to make a pretty little rustic cross. Okay, so there's one of our crosses done. Now we're going to do the same thing with a slightly smaller piece. This one is roughly 2 inches. This one is roughly 3 inches. Now, if you wanted to take this a step further, you can always take some jute twine and cover the centers of your cross, but I kind of like the simplicity of it the way that it is. So now our cross is going to sit right in the center here. To attach it, all I'm going to do is to put a mound of hot glue in the center. We're going to put our cross right in the middle. Now while this is drying, I am going to take some rocks that I picked up from Dollar Tree and just put a couple of rocks in here just to support it. I'm going to leave these rocks in place as part of my design. So I want to make sure that I pick some that I really like. Now before my glue sets up all the way, I'm just going to slip my cloche top over it to make sure that I've got it centered, and I love the way that looks. Y'all, this is such an easy project, but the impact and the look of it is just beautiful. So now let's take some floral moss that I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to put some into this little trinket tray. I don't want to cover the whole tray because I do kind of want it to have like an organic feel. So I'll add in some more rocks just to sort of make it feel like it's part of nature. And that's it. We're going to put our top on, and then we're going to repeat the process for our second smaller one. Okay. Now, the first part of our project is done. Now, you can also use your little cloches for the little mini bunny rabbits from the Dollar Tree or the little chicks, or you could even fill it up with cute little Easter eggs. These cloches are so versatile, but I think they're just absolutely beautiful. And in this whole arrangement, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This whole arrangement roughly cost me $6 or $8 for everything that you see here, and that is just a steal. Okay, so let's get started on the very last one. So I'm going to take my big one now. And for this part, I happen to have one of these little leprechaun buckets left over from my cake stand that I made. If you missed my cake stand, I'll put a card up above so you can see that. I took these cute little plastic leprechaun buckets and made a cake stand out of it, and it just turned out absolutely adorable. So I've got one left over, and I thought, well, this will be the perfect thing to use for my tomb because it's already black inside. So now I'm just going to take my little bucket and my X-Acto knife and just trim around this. Okay, and don't worry too much if your cut isn't perfect because it is not going to make a hill of beans difference. Now, I also found a big rock that was out in my yard, and I made sure it was just about the same size as my hole here. So let's take our top off. Sort of center my tomb right in a little bit more towards the back so that my rock will fit in here. Okay, so now we just want to glue our little tomb to a little bit around the center, maybe set back a little bit more, but more towards the center because we're going to be building this up with our aluminum foil. Oh, let's glue this down first. I got excited there. Now I'll just take some tin foil and crumple it up and just fill in this space right here. That's going to be pretty close, so I'm going to press my tin foil down a little bit more. Okay, as you're working on your little tomb here, just keep checking with your top to make sure that it does fit down over the top here, because you don't want to get all the way done and only to discover that your top will not go on. So now I'm going to use some sheet moss that I had left over from my little bunny moss project. If you missed that project, I'll be sure to put a card up above so you can check that out. That turned out to be such a cute little project. Now this stuff is super messy, I have to warn you, so just get ready. I just want to get a basic outline before I start gluing down. Now if you don't have any of this sheet moss, which by the way Dollar Tree does sell, you could always use the floral moss too. You don't have to do sheet moss. I just think it's easier. So I'm just going to put a little hot glue on this. Did y'all hear my neighbor with his weed eater? I'm going to have to get him. Now I'm not trying to totally cover my little tomb here. I do want it to have that organic effect, which is why I'm just kind of letting it fall where it may. And again, checking to make sure that it does not fit. So I'm going to take some more of my little pebbles and I'm just going to fill in my spaces here with my pebbles. Now feel free to mix in some sphagnum moss too, just so that everything isn't so perfect. Maybe I'll go in with some sphagnum moss here. We want it to appear old. So let's go ahead and glue him down and then we'll finish off the rest of our rocks. Now I am going to go ahead and take some more of my little mosses and just finish off around the edges here. There it is. What do you think? Okay, so I keep going back and forth if I like it better with the top off or with it on. And I honestly think I do like it better with it off. What do y'all think? Leave me a comment down below and let me know which one you think looks better. You like it with the top off or with it on? Let me know. Now I did decide to add in the cute little buffalo check ribbons to the tops of my cloches. But other than that, I did not want to make it fussy at all. I really wanted it to be sweet and simple. Okay, so I've gone ahead and put my burlap runner down on my table, and I really love this whole rustic look that I've got going on here. But to the tablescape, I'm also going to be using some of these vintage napkins. But any old napkin holder is not going to do for these. They are so beautiful and just so old and antiqued, but it's the perfect thing to put on this table. So I thought, you know, I can't put a nice, pretty napkin ring. So I'm going to be making a crown of thorns napkin ring for y'all today. Look how cute this is. Now I've actually gone back and forth whether I wanted to spray paint this gold or if I wanted to leave it green. And I honestly am kind of digging the green because it plays off the green that is in the middle of our centerpiece here. So let me show exactly what I did for this crown of thorns here. And it practically cost me nothing because I used some leftover pieces for another project. So y'all remember all of the roses stems that I had left over from the Valentine's Day wreath? Well, I'm fixing to use some more of these stems now. So for each napkin ring, we're going to need 3 stems. So I'm just using my wire cutters. And I'm going to cut off 3 of these stems. We're going to get rid of the leaves because we don't need those. Now I'm also going to use some of this green floral wire. Now this is 20 gauge wire and it's actually wrapped with like a little piece of, looks like maybe tape. I think I might have ordered this off of Amazon, but it is 20 gauge. Get down, y'all. Sorry, my cat just jumped up here. Get down. He hasn't made an appearance in a while. Okay, so that's all we're gonna need for this project. Okay, so to make our napkin ring, all we're gonna do is to take one of our pieces of floral stem here. And I'm going to use one of these old pieces of Dollar Tree napkin ring. And that's what I'm going to use as my guide. I'm just using this as a guide. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But I kind of wanted to know how big to make this. Then I'm going to take a little piece of my floral wire and just wire these on so that they don't go anywhere. Now this piece I'm just going to let hang loose for a little bit, because I'm going to take another piece, and where this one piece ends, I'm going to start the next piece just a little away from it. I don't want my pieces to, you know, perfectly end all at the same spot. And I'm just going to wrap this, kind of wrap it around itself. And then I'll use my wire to secure it down. But literally it's just wrapping. I just want to wrap it a few times to secure it down. And then I'm going to take my third piece and sort of start it kind of in between those 2 pieces and wrap it just like we did the last one. And honestly, there is no right or wrong way to do this, because the messier the better. And then I'll just finish off my piece of wire by wrapping it around. Okay, and there is our napkin ring. Now I am going to take it just a step further and make it look like actual thorns by taking an X-Acto knife and very carefully just pulling back, don't get your fingers, just pulling back a few little pieces, sort of like skinning the wire and making it look like a thorn. Can you see that? That little thorn right there. But if you don't feel comfortable handling your X-Acto knife, don't do it. I don't want you to cut yourself. I just want to add a few thorns in there. And there we have our crown of thorns napkin ring. Now all I'm going to do is to take my vintage napkin here and just sort of roll this up. Just like that. And slide my crown of thorns over it. And there we have our pretty little napkin for our table. So give me a second to get the entire table set up, and I will back up and show you the entire thing when it's all set up. So hang on just 1 second. Oh my goodness, y'all. Here is my table, and I absolutely love it. Look how pretty the tomb looks. And then our 3 crosses. And y'all, sometimes less is more, so that's why I really decided to keep my place setting simple. I picked up these chargers from the Dollar Tree, and then I just used my regular white china with the gold trim, and I absolutely love it. It really ties in the gold that is in the bottom of our cloches. And then here we have our cute little crown of thorns napkin rings. Didn't that turn out cute? And that was absolutely free. And there it is. There's my Easter tablescape. That does it for today's video, y'all. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give it a big thumbs up because that would mean the world to me. And until next time, happy DIYing, y'all.